There was a time when Prince Harry stood at the centre of royal power, protected, celebrated, and untouchable. And yet now something feels different. Not because of what he's saying, but because of what's happening around him. Because while one prince is quietly becoming more powerful than ever, the other is facing whispers of something far darker. Money problems, fading influence, and a return to the very family he once walked away from. So what happened to Prince Harry at 41? And why are royal insiders saying his future may be hanging by a thread? Because this story isn't just about wealth. It's about what happens when you trade legacy for freedom, and realize freedom comes with a price. For years, Harry was seen as the rebel prince. The younger son. The outsider who could break the rules because he was never expected to wear the crown. That role gave him something rare inside the monarchy, space. Space to be messy. Space to make mistakes. And space to walk away. When he and Meghan Markle left royal life in 2020, it looked like the ultimate power move. They gave up titles in practice, royal protection and taxpayer-funded support. But in return, they got control. Big media deals. Hollywood connections. And the promise of building an empire on their own terms. At first it worked. The Netflix deal. The Spotify deal. Harry's memoir spare. Millions came flooding in. The world watched. And for a moment, it seemed like Harry had done the impossible. He escaped the institution and won. But victories don't always age well. Because behind the headlines, cracks were forming. The Spotify deal collapsed. Executives publicly questioned the value of the partnership. Netflix, once seen as their golden lifeline, reportedly slowed down. Projects became less frequent, less explosive, less profitable. And suddenly the machine that once printed headlines started losing momentum. That's when the whispers began. Had Harry and Meghan overplayed their hand? At first those whispers seemed cruel. Until this week. Because on June 26, something happened that changed the entire conversation. Prince William's financial records became public for the first time since inheriting the Duchy of Cornwall. And the numbers stunned everyone. £1.2 billion. Not millions. Billions. Just like that, William officially surpassed King Charles in personal wealth. Think about that. The same brother Harry once fought beside, now stands as one of the wealthiest heirs in the world. And it wasn't just symbolic. The duchy brings in over £21 million a year. Private income. Steady. Protected. Untouchable. No podcast deals. No Hollywood contracts. No pressure to stay relevant. Just land, legacy and power. And that's where the contrast became impossible to ignore. Because while William's fortune was rising, Harry's situation was being described in a very different way. Royal commentator Tom Sykes didn't hold back. He claimed Harry and Meghan had run out of ideas. That their finances were basically in jeopardy. Strong words. But then came something even stranger. Reports started surfacing that Harry was considering spending more time in the UK. And for many, that raised an immediate question. Why now? Why return after years of lawsuits, interviews and public attacks? Tom Bower believes he knows. He says Harry misses his roots. That beneath everything, the anger, the books, the documentaries, there's still a man who wants his family back. But not everyone buys that. Others say this isn't emotional. It's strategic. Because another commentator, Mark Dolan, dropped a brutal claim. He said Harry's speaking fees have allegedly collapsed. From nearly $1 million per appearance to around $50,000. That's not just a decline. That's a warning sign. And if true, it changes everything. Because here's the twist nobody saw coming. This may not be about reconciliation at all. It may be survival. Think about their lifestyle. Montecito mansion. Private security. Staff. travel, image management. Those costs don't shrink. But revenue can. And if the brand slows down, pressure builds fast. That's the second hook in this story. Because for years, people assumed Harry had endless money. But royal wealth doesn't follow you when you leave. Inheritance helps. But inheritance burns. Legacy wealth multiplies. That's what William has. Harry doesn't. And maybe that's the cruelest part of all. At 41, Harry is old enough to see the long game clearly. His brother stayed. And became richer, stronger, and closer to the throne. Harry left. And now may be facing the consequences of betting everything on reinvention. But there's another layer here. One that makes this story even heavier. Because money isn't just money in the royal family. It's security, position, leverage. The less Harry has, the less independent he becomes. And the more vulnerable he is to needing the very institution he rejected. That's why his possible return to the UK feels so loaded. Not triumphant. Not victorious. Complicated. Painful. And maybe even desperate. Because imagine watching your older brother become a billionaire, while your own empire starts slowing down. Imagine knowing the palace doors may never fully reopen. And realizing the life you built outside may not be as stable as it once seemed. That kind of realization changes a person. And maybe that's what we're seeing now. Not a prince fighting the monarchy, but a man confronting the cost of leaving it. At 41, Prince Harry may not be broke. Not even close. But for the first time, the illusion of endless momentum seems to be fading. And in royal history, that's often when the real battles begin. Because the question isn't whether Harry can survive outside the palace. The question is, what happens if he decides he can't?